Here we go with reminders for this week in Dragonflight. Hey, it's Soul, and you can help support the channel by liking this video, subscribing for more coverage, and catching me in the mornings live on Twitch. There's a bit of mid-season tuning happening, which seems kind of nice that they're paying some attention even during the home stretch of this expansion. I'm going to throw the changes up on screen and summarize. Pre-Vokers got a bit of a buff to their healing while we wait for a buff to their range, haha. Resto Druid DPS is getting a little bit more efficient with a lower mana cost to Moonfire. Survival Hunters are getting a buff through their 4-set bonus effect. Holy Paladins got buffs to both Light of Dawn and Word of Glory. Light of Dawn I get, but Word of Glory not so much. Maybe you can help me out there. Meanwhile, Shaman are the shining stars this week with a small health buff, and Enhance is getting a strong buff to many of their spells. By contrast though, Warlocks are getting reduced mana cost to Fear and Demonic Gateway, which they totally needed, and if your class or spec wasn't talked about, they're doing 100% fine. We're a bit under 20 days since the start of the Mists of Pandaria remix, and I think the dust is settling. Folks got the feel of it, and they decided whether to continue or not. Those who are, they're farming towards their goals. They're raising armies of alts and sneaking their way into siege groups, or they're powering up their characters to these insane levels so they can watch the numbers fly and, get that dopamine kick. It reads like most of the folks who are sticking around for the remix have it mostly figured out by now, like just keep leveling new alts. You get tons of bronze for doing it, and each alt puts a huge dent in the required bronze between the actual bronze drops and the transmog that you're collecting in the meantime. I have a modified strategy for approaching the remix, so think of this as a Remix 2.1 guide towards collecting everything while maintaining your sanity. This went underreported, and I take some fault for this too, that there are a lot of weapon appearances that drop all throughout the remix, from the outdoors to cute content to all raid difficulties. It might have been hard to notice while transmog was raining from the sky or flying off the shelves of vendors. Unfortunately, the bronze farming via alt strategy, it only goes so far towards collecting all of these appearances, and here's where my tips come in. First thing we'll want to do is see your progression with a very powerful add-on that I've featured a bunch of times, All the Things. It's been updated for the remix, and it lets you know how you're doing with your collections, including weapons, but let's get familiar with how it works first. With the add-on installed and running, you'll see this list and your progression to the right. Let's focus on the remix stuff by clicking on World Event to expand the tree, and then right-click on Remix Mists of Pandaria to create a new window, which focuses entirely on this event. Feel free to take a second to look at what you still don't have, but when you're done, right-click on the Remix Mists of Pandaria header up top to open the add-on settings. Click on General to see this screen over here. We're going to tell the add-on what to track, so follow the options that you see here on screen. You're going to uncheck all of the options under General Things. That's not really important for the remix, and if this is your first time installing, that should be all you need to do. If you want, you can check the account mode box right up there to see where you're at for all of your collections, but this can easily get confusing on your hunts. For now, I suggest leaving it off unless you want to check in. So let's take a look at the list. You'll likely have a lot of progression done already, but if you expand the different trees under each zone and raid dungeon or the Infinite Bazaar, you're going to see everything that's still available to collect. Now, as you can see, my list is full of almost nothing but weapons, because I've already found or bought everything for my class. So let's explain how the weapon drops work. Based on my testing, outdoor drops are just pretty random. They can come from mob kills, but they're more likely to be found from treasures, rares, and loot boxes that you get from turning in quests. They don't seem to obey your loot specialization, so when farming for these appearances outdoors, just have at it. Pillage the land, and do everything, and loot everything. Eventually, dailies and rare hunting per region are going to be your path to finding everything. Just make sure you're in the right spot. When farming instances, it doesn't matter what dungeon you run, it seems. Anything for your class can drop regardless of the dungeon. The side effect is that every boss has the same big old loot table, so you can't target farm here. The strategy is to then simply check the character that you're playing and see if there's still any weapons to collect. If there are, okay, queue up. But if not, you're done collecting weapons from dungeons. Congratulations. But it's going to be raiding, where a lot of time is going to be spent. The first 3 raids, as in Mogushan Vaults, Heart of Fear, and Terrace of Endless Spring, all share the same loot table, while Throne of Thunder and Siege of Orgrimmar have their own. Your loot spec does seem to matter. I noticed this once I switched loot specs, and then, hey, suddenly, lots of two-handers are dropping. Also, each difficulty has their own set of colors, meaning there's potentially a lot of raiding in your future. Your mileage is going to vary. Maybe you want to collect everything, so honestly, good luck. It's just going to be a long road. Now, maybe you only care about collecting appearances for your hunter, and without realizing it, you're almost done, which must be nice. Congrats. To be fair, transmog collecting might not be your thing, but for those who do care, the approach to the remix is suddenly a lot more than just running dungeons without looting and then instantly leveling to 70 for the quick bronze, or basically doing, very narrow focused gameplay and then saying, hey, we're done. Mog farmers in the remix are going to be doing a little bit of everything, and bronze is just an extra. Maybe investing into raising item level is in fact something we'll automatically end up doing, and we told ourselves otherwise. So let me summarize for all this advice, because I think I was a little bit ranty there. Use the All the Things add-on to check your progress. Decide on a character whose appearances you want the most, and if you can, lean towards a class with a tank and heal specialization so it's faster to queue up for instances. Once you have a character, just point yourself into one of these directions based on your list and have at it. The only, quote, wrong thing to do, I guess, are activities that also don't help you obtain appearances. Like hyperspawn farming a certain spot might be great and everything, but maybe have yourself queued up for Raid Finder in the meantime. Probably the most important bit of advice to offer you though, to try and not worry. At least the way that I'm thinking of it, almost everything in the remix is going to be eligible as items to show up on the trading posts someday, probably in the form of ensembles or arsenals that are cheaper than the newer or the more unique offerings that we've had. I'm telling myself that this is less of a fear of missing out than a fear of having to wait to get it later, or to maybe spend some more tender, or to buy it from the shop, or whatever we want to tell ourselves. I'm just pretty confident that what we don't happen to get in the remix is not going to be our last chance. In the meantime, the remix is up for another 2 months, so I'm going to be splitting my time between casual clears of Season 4 content and beta coverage, and of course, Mog farms over here. So what else is going on this week? It's not announced as of this writing, but it's mostly expected that the Awakened rotation in Season 4 will end, meaning all raids will be in this elevated status and we can choose our last hurrah quest. Personally, I prefer the Season 2 version. I'm also secretly hoping that they drop a surprise and be like, hey dudes, here's an updated Onyx amulet, have at it. Whatever the case, the faded season of Shadowlands opened up within this time frame, and that's kind of where the expectation comes from. We're also going to get 1 out of the 2 bullion that we need for new gear this week, but it is a full Spark week and another piece of epic crafted gear. The Darkmoon Fair is also in town this week, as well as Cataclysm Time Walking for real this time, and it includes the Firelands Raid for some easy champion and hero class gear. Deep 6 is the Brawl, and over in Mythic Plus World, the affixes are Tyrannical, Afflicted, and Bolstering at keys 10 and higher. Tyrannical Afflicted is very manageable, even for warriors, because hey, they won't even get into groups in the first place. I'm just kidding, but am I? As long as your team is mostly awake, there should be very, very few issues. Bolstering, in the meantime, adds an obnoxious factor to it, but it shouldn't make most of your encounters much more difficult. And the War Within moves into the beta phase this coming Wednesday. It was announced that those who pre-ordered the Epic Edition of the expansion would get immediate access, so over the next few days, check your client for updates so you can start downloading. We don't have a time frame for when the beta starts, so there's a reasonable chance that you can join me live on Twitch while we wait, or maybe get started, so be sure to follow me there. You can catch me live in the morning Pacific time. Please like the video, subscribe for more coverage, and let's have Bob take us out. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay breezy.
You start in town, get up all the weeklies, then you head down, checking notice but there aren't any, and you do a circle around the aisles, helping dragons for a while, do a hut, cook soup and some bounties, queuing for some dungeons, stopping invasions, helping the dragon nations, but in the end you're just a gamer, you're just trying to get the big reputation, ooh, you and me were founding big reputations, that's the thing we really try to do. I want some transmog too.